First item up on the agenda is approval of the agenda. What's the pleasure of the board regarding that?
Approve.
Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next up, ethics statement. And I'll read it again. In accordance with General Statute 18B-201, it is the duty of every board member to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearances of conflict. Does any member have any known conflict of interest or appearance of conflict with respect to any matters coming before the board today? If so, please identify the conflict or appearance of conflict and refrain from any undue participation in a particular matter involved. Citizens' comments. We don't have any citizens here, so we'll move on. Financial report, Jackie.
Hey, first we got the audit back. It's done already. It's like amazing.
It is amazing.
They did make some adjustments. I honestly haven't looked at them yet. I'll have those entered, and once I enter them, I can resend out the year-end financials. And then the financials for this month they're not. It's the first. They're not accurate. They're as accurate as they can be, but they don't have all the taxes and inventory value and all that good stuff entered yet. So as soon as I get those, I will resend out month-end financials for the better, so it's accurate. And Rick did send me an email, I think it maybe after he looked at the draft audit about employee vacation accrual. So that, from everything that I've been told, the ABC board employees, the ABC board employees follow the town employees manual. And so that vacation accrual is included with the town's employee manual, and it's up to 240 hours they can carry over. So that's what that vacation accrual is in there. Does that answer your question yet?
Yeah. Okay.
Anybody else have any other questions?
So looking at this audit, as far as like the inventory, how do you know, like, do you guys ever have theft of product? Like ever?
Yeah.
So how do you will that show up, like how much that is on this, or how do
Yeah,
you
and it should, these new reports we're going to be getting from the new registers should make that easier.
Okay.
But yeah, it's
So if you're missing like a bunch of one product, how would you do that?
just inventory, and we spot check almost every day. And like, we never like have a bunch of one thing, get like, the popular thing is pints of Hennessy.
Yeah.
So we usually end up missing one of those every so often.
I don't think that would show up on the audit.
I'm just trying to
Yes,
figure out how we would
audit
know if
report.
we had a theft problem, whether it was internally or externally.
So Hope is going to know that. I would not see
Okay.
those details. So
Okay.
Hope would know that.
So that would be something you guys do in store.
Right.
Okay.
And the new register is keeping more
Yeah.
better inventory.
Yeah, I mean, the other one kept good inventory, and we would know if we had a problem area, and like with the Hennessy, we would move it to the back, behind the store, or anything like that. We know what better to watch when we do the
Okay.
inventory. It sounds like, okay, well, there's a Grey Goose gone or something like that, and you're like, you know what to pay attention to.
Can you try and bring that maybe to a meeting of like kind of what you look at with that, so we can
Yeah, it'll be a new report, so I don't
Okay.
even know what it's going to look like
Okay.
yet.
Yeah, I think it would be good to talk about just to see if we do have, how bad, if we have a theft problem. how bad it
We
is.
do not have a bad theft problem.
Okay.
Even the auditors, when they came and saw our inventory adjustment thing or whatever, it's like, y'all don't have cases coming up missing? I was like,
Okay.
no, as is. Somebody is like, he's like,
Okay.
you'd be surprised at the stores that do, and that's probably the
Yeah.
bigger stores that don't pay
Sure.
attention to that.
Knowing your professional experience, Todd, I think it would be very beneficial for you to maybe have an independent meeting with her.
Okay.
To just go over, the risk measures that you take in your
Okay.
store and some
Yeah.
of the fraud prevention measures. I think certainly just bouncing ideas would be very helpful.
Yeah, maybe we can set something up. I know for us, Youngsville's not nearly as bad as Henderson and Lucasford.
Oh no, I mean it's like we could have. It depends. It really depends on the product. Stuff like Hennessy, some vodkas.
Sure.
You might be missing one from the previous inventory count.
Mhm.
Stuff like that. Nothing like 6 or 7 bottles or cases of stuff.
Yeah, typically what we find is it's like you said, Hennessy, so it's like a group or one person coming in
Yeah.
and taking that every
Right.
time, so trying to identify that, so.
Yeah, we can do the little bottles, the travel ones that we usually just
No.
drop in your pocket.
Where we got the little bottles is
Yeah.
really hard for somebody to get,
Some of
They're
those
right
ones
there.
are-
those.
It's right in the front.
Yeah, not that they can't do it, but, you know,
Oh,
it's,
yeah,
it's much
somebody
harder.
can figure out a way.
And Hope also looked at a bottle report where you, with the old register.
Yeah, I'm trying to get them to give me, like, the previous registers, every day would print out bottle reports. So like, if there was something I was wanting to pay attention to, whether it's not that I have that problem, but like if I was wanting to watch a particular clerk,
Mhm.
or if there was a certain product I was worried about,
Yeah.
I'll know what it was the previous day or whatever. I can look on that bottle report and see if there's actually one sold. There's one missing, but was there one sold? And if it's not on there, then I know, know
Okay.
like that. So I'm
Okay.
trying to get the new company to add that in with the.
Okay. Maybe once you get comfortable with that reporting, we could sit down and look at it.
Yeah.
So far on that same note, it's been fairly easy working with the new register.
Now.
Now, okay. I know new is always
The first,
different.
it's been crazy up till like 5 or so days ago. I was ready to get rid of them and everything. It was, yeah. But they said give it at least, probably by December we'll have exactly how the reports will be.
Change is hard, but their customer service seems to
They
have
are
been very
excellent.
good.
They are,
So,
they're open 8 a.m. to midnight, and they answer the phone. They're quick to take care of it. Like I said, the president come down and had a meeting with me Tuesday, and he's the one that fixed a whole lot of issues we're having and everything. So,
A large company is small enough to work with.
yeah. So he said, well, you ready to burn the place down? Please call us. We will work with you.
Okay. Fantastic. Any other questions on the finance side of things?
Jackie, I can't find my audit that you sent me on my email. Could you send it to me again? please?
yeah, I sent it earlier this week.
Yeah,
And
I remember looking at it, I just can't find
Okay.
it.
With the
with
other
that.
one she sent to kind of,
Yeah. Mine gets buried in there from time to time. Now, will the auditors come in and present the audit?
they have never done so before for the ABC store.
Not for the, they've always done it for the town, but never for the ABC store. It was kind of, when they used to do it, and Emily, you can remember this, they'd come in and do the, explanation for the town and say, oh, by the way, here's the ABC, and then they'd go back to, the town stuff and move on. They never really said anything.
Well, I think it'd be helpful for them to do that if they don't want to make a visit here, they can make it up by phone. We pay for it.
I would expect it to be included in the scope of service.
I
So
agree.
I think if you reach out to Lee Grissom and just ask him, I think he would do it. At least, definitely via phone, I think he would actually show up too.
They will be doing the town audit at the December board meeting, so they may be good to go for the December one here as well.
Good.
And Jackie, I had a question in that audit about the section on distributions. I don't know whether you could go through that or not, but
Is that the one where it divides it out between the town and the police department? Is that what you're talking about?
it talked about budgeted, amended, and then final distribution.
Okay.
Get it up
It's a
faster.
table.
Yeah, we need to have it up on there. It'd be so much easier than trying to read it on our phone.
Oh, this tiny little screen.
What page are you looking at?
He's looking at 17.
Page
It's
17.
actually page 20 of the PDF.
So we,
So this is, everybody see that?
Yep.
budgeted final actual, okay. So original budget generally only includes the 40,000 that we have always paid. This year, based on an increase in sales, I did increase the budget of the distribution to the town. To basically, your budget always has to balance, and so that was kind of my plug. And then the actual distribution ended up being 97, which goes with the agreement that the ABC board has with the town, that the additional profits would be paid back to the town.
Should we not have voted on that final distribution though?
Based on my conversation with Phil, the agreement that has been signed states that all extra profit from the ABC board will be distributed back to the town.
That was in the previous fiscal year.
Right.
For this fiscal year, that will not be the case.
Right.
You get up to your maximum working capital, and then you'll be required by law to distribute everything at that point.
We changed it
We're going up
so
to
we
the
could pay
maximum
off
capital, right?
the
Yeah,
debt
because
in
for
this
our
coming fiscal year. Because we
You
did
go up the
the loan during the
maximum
last
capital.
fiscal year.
Okay,
Yeah, we had every right as a
that's
board
not
to
what I
control our
understood.
working capital.
Anything else on- Say that one more time, Rick.
It's really the board's decision on how much to distribute to the town. We have the flexibility of setting what our working capital is. I remember voting for the $69,000 budget amendment, but I don't remember the other $27,000. I was just curious how.
So
Was there a budget amendment done for the 97?
there was not a budget amendment done for the 97. I'm going back to the agreement
Mhm.
that has always been in place and how it has always been done. So that's what I was basing it off of.
I don't think there's anything we can do to modify the previous fiscal year, although I understand exactly where you're coming from. I think that we are very clear now that your intention is to work up to as much working capital as you can get as is authorized by the general statute, and to not distribute that.
Yeah, my desire is to pay this debt off as right as possible.
Definitely.
And we can talk about that offline, but yeah, I mean, if you want to share any comments that are pertinent.
No, I'm
before-
just I'm thinking like, and this is where the ABC store and the town and the difference in the financial statements start to get fuzzy.
Mhm.
Because like for the town, when you pay debt off, it's an expense in that current
Right.
year. The auditors have told me that the ABC stores are operating off of full accrual account.
That's right, because it's a proprietary activity.
And so then that is kind of a cash issue because that, like, I made a loan payment in October, and the portion that went to principal is not an expense. It's going against
Mhm.
the loan balance and full accrual accounting. So technically you've got more profit, but not necessarily the cash. So I'm trying to figure out how to make that work with the budget that the ABC board wants to see. And we can talk about that later, but that's where I'm kind of like, okay, how do I wrap my head around that?
Got it.
There's basically two ways to fund working capital, and that's either with long-term debt or with equity. And the part of equity that we have control over is how much profits we retain.
No, that's not my issue at
Okay.
all. It's a difference between accrual accounting
Oh,
and
okay.
government
Sure.
Modified accrual.
modified
Right,
accrual
okay.
accounting.
I hear you.
And how to make all of that work, because modified accrual accounting is very different than what you're used to looking at on a regular basis. For example, in modified accrual accounting, when you make a debt payment, that is a full expense. Whether it goes to principal and interest, it's a full expense in the year that you pay it. But in accrual accounting, it's not. So that is where you're getting to your, that's where I'm getting confused with you.
That's a
Jackie-
question for me. It's like, why would it not be an expense, but it's the difference in the accounting method.
So Jackie, in the future, I'm hopeful that we'll have a vote on how much we distribute to the town over and above what we put in the budget initially.
So, based on the conversation here, if I interpret it correctly, it's basically what's budgeted currently, and that's all that would get paid this year, and everything else would stay with the
The
agency.
minimums, I think is what we had on the budget.
Yeah,
Right.
Unless we decide it.
Unless we decide different, and that's when we vote on it. So
So-
if there's 60,000 instead of the 40, and we want to give the 20, we can vote on it to give that 20 or put it towards the capital
Right.
improvement.
The one caveat would be the amount that it at least costs the town to provide services. So like, Emily's time and other things, a reasonable amount we'll get together and, make a rough actuarial evaluation of whatever that, those services cost. And then we would, put that on top of whatever the minimum required distribution is. But that should be reasonable, very
Well,
reasonable.
Phil, I don't want to speak for the whole ABC board, but in my experience before, there were situations where the town came to the ABC board with a specific dollar request for a project or
Got it.
something that they needed. And I'd like to be able to accommodate the town in situations where like that.
Sounds great. Perfect. I appreciate you offering that. Yeah. But does that make sense? So the minimum required distribution with the caveat that we will get together and make evaluation of how much the town has actually expended in services, public works time and clerk's time to assist the ABC board, and we'll do a reimbursement for whatever that amount is on top of the minimum amount. Does that help?
Yes, it's just not
Yeah.
And I think I agree with you. I think this has always been our ability to, if we make that money and we want to help out in a situation where you need it, then we're here to do that when possible. And I know when we started talking about cutting it back to the minimum, everybody was up in the air and bouncing around off the ceiling trying to figure out, well, that money that's in there is not coming to the town. Everybody was freaking out. So it's there. We want to be able to do it when we can, but we also got to make sure we do the right thing for the ABC store. So I think we're all in agreement on that.
Okay. We'll have an additional conversation.
And then just let us know what y'all do.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Jackie at this time? All right. Then we'll move on. Let's see, consent agenda. What's the pleasure of the board regarding the consent agenda? Do I have a motion to approve? Approve. Motion made. Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? All right. We'll go on then to old business, and the first thing obviously is the continued discussion on the proposed remodel of the ABC store. And I see we've got the amended drawings from FLM. Rick, did you talk to him?
Yes. And he offered to come today, but I told him in looking at the information that it appeared to me that he had drawn exactly what we'd asked him to do. And then he's supposed to have sent me an email earlier. He's got he sent me the standard master services agreement that maps out how much his services are going to cost. I think we mentioned in the last meeting, Emily, was it $7,500 to get us through permitting?
I don't know off the top of my head. I
Mm.
should down that out.
That
Yeah.
sounds right.
7,000. Yeah, task one to be completed lump sum, $7,500, I just read. So in order for him to take this plan through the town and DOT for approval, his charges would be $7,500. So I think that's an action item that we want to vote on, whether or not we want to go forward. In anticipation of that vote, it's like the chicken and the egg for me. I want to kind of know how much it's going to cost to build a parking lot before I approve $7,500 to draw it up. So, I asked the guy to do me a favor, and we can't hold him. This is not an official proposal. It's just an estimate based on Casey's drawings. This guy's a general contractor for grading and paving, builds subdivisions, shopping center parking lots. I'm sorry, Drew.
We can share.
I'll share with him. So he had gone through, this is his pricing model, this is what he uses to calculate a bid, what he's going to bid on a job. So he's got money there for mobilization, that's just getting everything together to get started. He's got erosion control, he has the removal of trees, and that's based off the typical price for a 1 acre piece of property. My guess is that might be about how much we need him to clear the parking lot. I don't know, but, that's $12,500, and I asked him what all that includes, and that's removing the stumps and the roots and everything, hauling off-site. Then he's got earthwork there for stripping the topsoil, cutting the rough grade, and then down here at the bottom he's got the paving and the stone. He doesn't have any concrete in his estimate, and there's a little bit of concrete sidewalk along the side, and I asked another gentleman to quote me a price on the sidewalk. Let's see if I can find his thing. He was saying that he'd estimated it to be about $5,000. So, again, please, we ought to maybe send this out for quotes, but that's just the first blush rough estimate.
Aren't we required to get more quotes?
Oh, yeah. I think we get at least 3.
Yeah.
But I wanted to have some information for you, Mary Margaret, before we vote on hiring Chase to
Yeah,
do this site plan approval.
sure, that makes sense.
Yeah, because I would hate to spend the $7,000 and then find out you're talking $150,000 to do it.
Yeah, we
I would
won't
say
spend that
forget
much.
that,
Yeah.
do the, and now we're throwing away $7,000 and we should be spending on a new building.
So, he excludes a decent amount of stuff, and I think that, in my opinion, it's hard to look at this quote and know that you could build the parking lot for that. What happens if we have to do something with isn't it the water basin or the water stuff? What
See,
happens
that's
if
why I was
we
looking
have
at
to
that
do?
storm sewer, that's the, That's on the creek.
$20,000 on here for the wet pond structure. On the
Well,
very-
the far
On the
right.
top, yeah,
The far right column is the numbers that he's actually estimating, Mary
Yeah.
Margaret. Those in that unit
It's his
price
basic
column,
charge.
that's the basic charge.
Yeah, so he excludes engineering, staking, surveying, bonds, permits, fees, and encroachments, erosion control monitoring and reporting, temporary basin removal, unsuitable soils, backfill, rock excavation, moisture control, hardscape items, landscaping, final seeding, and soil amendment. In my opinion, that's a lot of exclusions right there, and you got a lot of things open that are gonna cost you more money.
yeah, I worry about that drainage through there on that backside of the building.
That can just be more.
It's just gonna bump it up quick because I rode by there the other day after we had a rain recently and I was sitting in traffic, imagine that. It happened to be right there. And I was looking at it and it was just full of water and trash floating in it and it wasn't going anywhere. And everything else had run off, but it was just sitting right there in that area. So I know we got a real problem right there, and it's been a problem. I know going back in the history that of my time up here, it's always been a problem. So I know that this price doesn't surprise me, but I think there's going to be a whole lot more involved in it than just this.
When he come up with that price, all he did was base it off the
Right.
drawing. He didn't do it on site, did he?
Right.
He's familiar with the liquor store, he comes in there all the time instead.
well, do we have any idea what we thought we wanted to spend?
See, that was just it. We didn't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What we thought we could afford to spend.
Know what we got available on the bank loan, and it's not enough to cover
Yeah, I'm gonna say,
that.
yeah, that's the next one, it's like, what can we spend?
Yeah.
Because this is something that, is always, we need to do this, but can we afford to do this?
I would say before we did the 7,000, this would be my opinion. I think we need something temporarily, but I think before we did that, we ought to get some pricing, just some preliminary pricing on everything. Until we have an idea and say, oh yeah, this right here is a good idea, but we know it's going to be more. I think you're gonna come back with a whole lot higher price than this, to be honest with you. And so, there's the situation that says, okay, do we go ahead and do something now to this, or we forget that and do the whole thing? If you're gonna spend that kind of money, wanna incorporate that into the full master plan
Yeah.
and do it there. I mean, I'm speaking, out here front, and I want some opinion here, because
I think if we put it out there, then we can also put exactly what we're looking for, and if these things that he's got listed as exclusions, have that listed in there as part of the, request for proposal, and that way we know what we're asking for up front, and we don't have any of this. Well, it's going to be, this is excluded, this is, and we don't have to do our own seeding or hire somebody else to do the seeding and all this other stuff. We need to have a price as close to what we would spend as possible. I mean, obviously there may be extenuating circumstances when they get in there that may develop, with something to that effect, but this seems awful cheap.
I think that you need a general contractor, you need somebody who's gonna manage this and is gonna know all the parts and pieces that are required to go in, all the permitting, what we could run into to get an accurate quote on all the steps involved.
Personally, if I look at this, for that kind of money, I'd rather just go ahead and extend the parking area for the truck to pull in and solve that problem and just get that done, spend that amount on the building, leave the parking like it is, start working on a major.
Because would this be temporary, or would this be something we would incorporate into the new building? Because that's another question. Is this something that's just a Band-Aid until we get the building built, or, because if it is, again, we're putting good money after bad.
I don't think we know.
Yeah, that's the thing, yeah.
And I think
So-
it was, we've talked about temporarily going to Food Lion Plaza. And I think before my time, that maybe was a discussion. I don't know if that's a bad idea to go there permanently. Like, I just think we're gonna have so many cash problems here with these projects, we just aren't sure what we can do. And as far as the location, traffic counts, traffic flow, I think the Food Lion Plaza is just gonna increase our sales a ton. I don't know where the conversation was before that.
Cost and storage, wasn't it? Part of the problem there. I'm not sure.
It's time we weren't
Your
looking,
lease they require?
we weren't looking at a,
Yeah.
building at that point in time.
So
So,
we're-
I thought we were going to open up a secondary.
we were talking secondary.
Yeah, but we really still like that location because it's, people really like that you can, that corner is, so. It's so
And,
convenient.
Yeah, I do think that this is we've mentioned it.
People that were,
I think that, and this is something that I know that the town from the past, and you and I have had to talk about this, Bill. This is a centerpiece to town, and it's something that everybody knows. And if we improve that, quote, gateway in the town and do something nice there, I think it can be something really good, controlling traffic and parking and be something people know of. And this is something that people have known for a long time in this town.
Yeah, and
ABC
they're-
store is on this
And
corner.
they're looking for,
Yeah.
they're looking for improvement.
So the hat that he's wearing right now is the kind of former mayor hat, right? Community development
Yeah.
hat. You're wearing more of the enterprise, for-profit hat. So
Yeah.
those are competing interests at,
Right,
at
and-
some point.
And I look at things like you do, as far as where we're gonna get the best bang for our buck. I agree with that, 100%. And when I was in office, Emily knows, where O'Reilly's is? We were looking at putting an ABC store there. I mean, one of the, not the former, but the former town manager and I had discussions and we got pricing on it. We were looking at it. At the time, it was $600,000 and we didn't have the money. So we backed off of that real quick. That was something I wanted to do, and I understand that. But I do look at it, like you say, as a mayor, I'm looking at it, and don't say old mayor.
That's it.
I look at it as community, and people know that ABC store. And I mean, I know people that go to this ABC store that don't live here because they think it's perfect where it is. And I still think that the store itself needs rolled over.
Also,
So, but still, I think it needs to be rolled here, personally.
you're where you can see. I thought I saw a real estate sign go up in front of the brick house next door, and now just the sign holder's there, but there's no sign.
The sign's laying on the ground,
Oh, okay.
and I'm trying to find out if he's
Yeah.
trying to sell it. I asked the other day.
Yeah, it's like, did that property go up for sale?
He is putting it up for sale, I can guarantee you that,
Okay,
I can guarantee you that.
all right, 'cause I thought, oh, that may be something that would boost our,
He's got other plans.
that one. And if he would, if he's thinking about looking for somebody commercial to buy, we could, that would help us, I think.
No, that's not happening. Knowing that individual.
Who
So,
owns that property?
Mosses.
Okay, I figured.
Go ahead.
No, it's,
No.
I was just curious who owns the property where Subway is now, and isn't it for sale? It was recently sold, and I can't remember the name right off the top of my head, but it was recently sold.
Oh,
Do
They
have any plans
purchased
for-
the Subway complex and these 2 vacant lots between that complex and here.
Oh, okay.
But there's a sign right out here of auction.
We're having an auction Saturday morning to sell old police cars.
Oh.
If you would like to come, bid on
Wanna
that.
drive a
Sorry,
police car?
thank you.
That'd be do wonders for selling houses. You just drive around in a police car with 300,000 miles on it.
There are other things in for auction as well, but that's a nice thing, sorry.
I mean, I agree, like you say, I think, and we talked about it, a separate second location, I think eventually that might be, it's a community growth, but I still think we need to concentrate here.
I would think that if we open a second location as a food line, it would cripple the sales of this store.
You think so?
I just don't. The access here, sometimes too much traffic is a bad thing. That people will go away from it because it's a tough in and out. We
What's
see that.
happening
We
now?
open a store that's on a bad, that we don't project actually it's really tough one to go this way. It can make or break the store. And I'm talking, 50,000 gallon a week difference on what we project versus, we didn't really catch that piece of it, which is a ton of cars in and out. So I just don't know that, I get where it's at, the nostalgia of the town. I just don't know with how hard this is. Seems like everything's gonna be. I don't know that we're ready to do
We'll
it.
have at least $1 million in the facility.
That's what I mean. This is gonna be a huge project that I don't know. What kind of timeline is our goal to even get something like, to have a new building operating? What do we think financially that we can even make that happen?
And it just seems like we keep postponing everything.
So why,
Either we get off our butt and do something, or
But see, that was one reason why I was initially saying if we could find a developer that would want to come in and build
That's what I was
something.
gonna bring up.
As far as, we're just a small part of it. Even if we sold it to them or put it in as equity, the property in as equity and kind of be a partner with them, if we can do that,
You can't do that.
we can't do that. Then we can
You have to sell it.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
And then but we could put it in there and we'd be a part of it. And we'd be in that facility. And then if it's somebody else's building, let's say everything moves in another direction in town, we could always move out after the lease runs out, that sort of thing, and move up to the shopping center. But that puts the burden back on some developer to develop that property. The one guy that I knew could do it doesn't want to do it.
I don't think, when you look across the street of the subway, there's a vacant lot there, food line, there's vacant spots. There's not gonna be somebody that says, hey, do you wanna add more businesses here, where there's already suitors available that aren't being rented. I just don't think it's
No, I agree. I agree with him because you're just adding more business at that intersection. Even if it's the liquor store and a couple more spots, that's a couple more spots, and people are already complaining about getting in there and access just to the liquor store. Now you're adding 2 or 3 more businesses. So I mean, ultimately, there's towns where they have the store and then they have the package stores that are down the street in the old buildings and stuff like that. Maybe that's something we could do, or try leaving this one open. But I'm thinking dollar signs. And every time I go to the grocery store, and how many times do you go to the grocery store? Most of the time it's more than once a week because you forget something or you run out of something. And if the liquor store is right there, oh, this is so much easier. I can run in and grab this. And our money making potential, I just think is, even if we didn't lease there, I think we wasted money in buying land there versus buying a, or leasing a piece of property out there near the food line maybe behind the, across from where the Taco Bell or something like that is in that section, and build our own separate, store. If we didn't want to lease, but money-wise, I think we're crippling ourselves right now, because I can tell you, even in my community where I live, my neighbors, there's been a couple of them, they've stopped going here, they're running down to Wake Forest now. Because it's just, they don't want to come up here and fight the traffic when they get off work, so they just say, oh, I'll just stop at home, so, and I'm like, yeah, but this isn't, yeah, but I ain't fighting that traffic at that red light. And they're just not, and I've already had to fight traffic coming home from work, and so I'm not gonna go on up and fight traffic at the red light and trying to get in and out there. I mean, yes, it's been here forever and ever and ever, but it shows that it's been here forever and ever. It's not something pretty. I mean, if you redid it like Matt Winslow did that property up there, that's absolutely gorgeous what he did. Mm-hmm. We were going to do something, but if we're going to do it, Hooper, get off the pot.
I mean, one of the other things that might be a possibility is combining residential, making it a true mixed-use building. Where you could do 6, 8 condos on a upper level with maybe 1 or 2 retail spaces on the lower level. I think a developer might be interested in that. I can certainly help, and planning staff can help throw this idea out to the developers in our community, Matt Winslow's and David Williams's, people like that. We can, because Steve Gould, although I don't know if he would be interested in this, but we could certainly. I mean, if you're interested in it, I could instruct staff to see if it would be a possibility. Well, I mean, the other possibility is that we could still say that you're interested in selling and see if the developer's interested, and then we might have a small little grocery store and a Starbucks or something down there, and then the ABC store is just not there anymore. And it's the places that you're talking about, but you get $500,000 of cash out of it.
Right.
And then you can do whatever it is you want to do with that. Maybe build a building somewhere else that makes more sense.
Right.
Instead of continuing to pay like that.
I think buying the property was critical, because I don't think this small lot was worth anything. This makes the combined worth it to do something like
for a developer.
Even if you resell it, I think you'd still make
you come out ahead.
a good financial decision, yeah.
Right. And that was one reason what we talked about when we started talking about this. At least we get the property and have the ability to sell it if we wanted to.
Well, we may have not ever had another opportunity to buy it.
Right.
Basic premise of the direction that we're going in.
Exactly. So I think that the purchase of the property was wise. It's an investment for the ABC board.
And it appraised, so we didn't pay more than we should have.
Right. So, that's a smart thing. Here's the question. Where do we go now?
I might be the first one to speak. Before we spend $50,000 or $60,000 on a parking lot that we may wind up tearing up later, maybe we should ask Phil to talk with Aaron and see if there isn't some compromise there where we could just simply expand a little bit out past here for some additional parking on a temporary type basis, like you suggested.
The original gravel lot.
Maybe go that route. I mean, we can go on down that road with Chase on coming up with an overall plan for what a building may look like on this site. I know if I was going to go that route, I think the first call I'd make would be Rick Turner and ask him to design the interior layout. And that would dictate what the building would look like, on the outside when we got an architect.
I talked to him last week, he called, and I told him there was a meeting coming up soon he wanted me to bring up. He said, please remind them that before we get an architect or whatever, to please get him involved before that, because
He could save us some money.
yeah,
But
I'll put that out there because he has to do so.
And I think, I don't mind pulling out that feasibility study and dusting it off and updating it a little bit. Check with Charles Kane again and see if that space up there at Food Line's still available. and what he might be asking for now, but if we go that route, you know, the one thing I don't want us to not negotiate with him is if that food line shuts down, we get out of our lease. Because you can see what happened to the food line over here on Wake Forest Road, 98.
Yeah.
And those people that are still in there are just absolutely struggling.
Right. No, I agree. Now, that I agree with. Well, they lost not only the food line, but then they lost that Rite Aid too that was on the other side.
And prior to that, they lost the, Roses was there, and, you know, when that moved out, everybody suffered then too.
So,
Are they gonna increase the parking at the food line?
I don't
Because
know.
I've been there when that's full, when it's like ABC store, holiday time. They gonna skip it to their time.
Yeah, 'cause
I don't know, I
the
think-
Mexican restaurant on the corner takes a lot of land.
The one thing that I liked about going up
I've been,
there,
there's not an ABC store there, it's already full.
Mhm.
I mean,
when we originally talked about that out parcel, that where O'Reilly's is now, was the fact that everybody in Youngsville was working in Raleigh and coming home, and they could stop in there, or even the people in Franklinton and so on up the road. It was just as easy to pull in there and pull on out and head on up US 1. That was one reason why we were looking at it.
I think before long saying there's gonna be more, as many people living on the west side of one in a Youngsville address as there are on our side here. Western Ridge, and there's another subdivision going in.
Oh, Liberty is like 3 times as big as it was,
oh,
and my building.
and then they started a new community there on the other side of Winston Ridge that's
Mhm.
going to tie into it with those KB homes and
Yeah.
stuff. Those ranch homes and stuff. So, but I did in a conversation at a closing with Bobby Sumner, who has the Winston Ridge stuff. He did say that the phase that they're working on right now, he's got 60 homes currently, 60 plots currently, and he's going to be adding an additional 100. But once that's done, they're done in there. And he's actually already started on another development in Lewisburg.
How do you get all these permits when we've got a water restriction? I don't get that.
I would say from the Rollsville, Lewisburg area, which I live in, if you push it to food line, you lose that side. Because I'll go to Rollsville or Lewisburg to the ABC store before I'll come down into Youngsville and then go back out to Capitol.
I don't recommend the closest to it.
No, I don't either.
Could you keep them both open? I mean,
I
you
think-
may not need the additional staff that you have, you know. It could be.
Not yet. I don't think we have
Another
it
store would be
marked
some whole,
for it yet.
somebody else's
Right.
thing.
Yeah. You definitely
What-
have to have 2 staffs.
I don't think that I don't think it's gonna hurt us at all to explore all of the different options. You see what kind of investors you can get for us, what different types, what kind of interest they would have, in what direction, if they would want to invest in the property, if they would want to build. It's not gonna cost us anything to
ask.
explore all of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Definitely before spending
Yes, before we spend
60,000 and then 7,000 to do it, we need to
Maybe we
explore all
can spend
options.
30.
I'd rather spend that $7,500 with Chase to design the building than
Yes.
Exactly,
Well,
exactly.
but it may cost us 25 to 30 to do a little more gravel and extend for the trucks, and that probably wouldn't hurt us, and probably would be to our advantage, and we could, that's reasonable. But this 50, like you say, there's too many things left out, that's gonna jump up to 100 real fast. So why don't we look to go that direction first, see what we can, what kind of interest we can get in doing something, solid and get a full building before we go any further, because it's not gonna cost us anything. And there are a lot of developers, that want Youngsville to grow because they're building around it.
So, Mr. Chairman, did we just hear a motion, and so I'll second it?
I think I heard a motion on that. I'll be honest with you, I was about to say, I hear a motion on the table and I hear a
Thank you.
second,
Yeah.
to,
Repeat the
to-
motion.
Explore
wait a
all the
minute,
options.
to pursue all
Thank
options,
you, Phil.
okay? And we're gonna put Phil to work on
Yeah, we
this.
Absolutely.
And
And I'll follow back up with Charles.
okay, and I'm just gonna, and I think if we can bring that to a next meeting or the meeting after that, whatever it
Yeah.
takes to get all this information, and doing this in a discussion period here, because I think we can then do something, make a decision. I mean, I think personally, we all want to see this one torn down and a brand new building here
Yeah,
in some way.
we're all in the same boat on
And
that.
I think we have, like you say, we're kind of sitting on it and trying, because we don't want to jump out there. We're a little nervous about the expense of it and understand. But if we're going to make a decision to spend $1 million, let's say, let's get all the answers first
Yeah,
and do it right. And if we can find a developer, like you say, that's interested in doing something with us, you know.
and the right one may be out there, they just don't know.
Right, they don't know we're interested in that,
Right.
you know.
Phil, I've had two approach me, but I told them that I really don't have anything to discuss with them, but I'll share their names with you.
Yeah, that'd be great. That's perfect.
I think,
And we can set up individual meetings here, and, because they're all in and out of here on a regular basis, checking on permits and, all kinds of things. So we can easily if you want, I don't need to share this with them because I don't think it's relevant. We just explain to them, they're interested in, selling the property. If you have any ideas about what you might do for it, you can share those with me now. If you want to share any drawings or any, conceptual designs, that'd be great. We can bring it to them. And then we'll see what comes of that. We'll just tell as many people that we can.
and that way, if somebody does buy it and they do build something and we rent back from them, we said in the original meeting, if we were renting a spot there and things changed in town, we need to move somewhere, we have an out. If we own the building, we got to sell it, and we got that expense. So, we could find, if we had to, find a temporary location. If whoever wanted to tear this down, we just find a temporary location. At least we're showing the citizenship we're doing something.
And that can be part of the deal too, if you want, as part of the sale, they can give you a 6-month lease wherever you want by value of it.
Exactly. So there's options out there, but I think we're moving in the right direction. So, any further discussion? Because we got a motion on the table. Any discussion? All those in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll move on with that then. So, since we're still on it, we had a motion in there. Is there any further discussion that we need to continue on that topic? Other than that motion, okay. Then we'll move on to resolution to enter into agreement with the North Carolina Local Government Employees Retirement System to provide death benefits. Obviously, the recommendation is requested to approve. So,
So when we originally started talking about the joining the ledgers, Shannon was our contact person. She sent the original packet that did not include the death benefits. After we approved the resolutions last month, I was looking at the information, doing my checkoff list to make sure I had everything that I needed to send to them. This resolution was on that list, but it was not in our packet. So when I emailed Shannon asking questions about that, Susan told me that Shannon was no longer there and gave me the template for this. Susan had recently taken over. She did not know what had gone on previously. So when I talked to her the other day, she stated that she's had more time to look into our situation and see what's going on. She said it was not a necessity to have this. Most ABC stores don't. Some do, but most don't. And it's based on your actuaries. They would need your financials, and they would base it on that. It can be as low as 0.02%, and the highest one she found was 0.83%. But you don't have to have this death benefits at this point in time, but it will cost extra than your base contributions. So if you don't want to do this right now, we don't have to. They can still move forward with the information they have to get us set up with the ledgers. It was just a misunderstanding because there was too many hands in the pot that didn't know what was going on, that I thought I had to have this when I don't. So this is something that if you don't want to do right now, we can do it at a later point. You don't have to do it at all. When I first started working on this, I thought we had to have it, but we don't. So it's, even though actually request is approved resolution, we do not have to approve that today. Well, we can't approve it today. If we wanted to move forward, they would have to look at the financials before I could get the information for the resolution. But if you just want to move on for right now, that's fine as well. But she said the vast majority of them do not have the death benefits. It's mostly for the police officers. More police departments have it than any other type of government.
Anyway, might be something that maybe Danny could look at and maybe give us
Is that-
some recommendations next month.
Is that where they're,
It's
when they die, they get, but there's a death benefit one time their annual salary up to a max of 50
up to,
now?
that's right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
And I don't think the town employees have it. That was gonna be my next project, because it didn't look familiar, and I think we're paying the minimum, so I don't even think the town employees have it.
We have a different policy
A
through a
different
private
policy.
insurance company
Okay.
that, for life insurance coverage,
So,
That the employees pay for, or that
the town pays for it.
town, okay.
and I think the ABC store,
We did have that.
yes,
They do have
the
that.
full-time ABC store employees are included on
Yeah.
that plan as well. Yes,
Yes.
so they are included on that, and,
Go.
and it is 50,000 life, 50,000 death, and just number that.
My recommendation would be that you table this matter until the next meeting and direct staff to work with the retirement system to find out how much this would cost. And it might be a better deal than the private rate that we're paying. You never know. So,
Would it be something that the town as a whole could look to?
yeah. Yeah, if it made sense, if it was cheaper, for sure.
Absolutely.
Someone like to make that as a motion to table it?
Do we need a motion to?
Yes. They have to act on it if it's on their.
I'll make a motion to table it until, and get the true cost from the retirement system.
Is there a second? All right, all those, any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? All right. You're my table. All right, move on to new business. I don't think there's anything new that we need to go over at this point. All right, nobody said anything, so we'll go on to reports and other, oh, you have something?
Just, I brought it up, I think briefly the last meeting, it's just something that's going out there about bonuses and stuff around Christmas time.
Oh,
I
right.
say, years ago, we used to get them, and then last year was the first time we got them.
I was gonna bring that up. at
Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
Personnel section.
Okay.
All right, gotcha.
But first up, I'm chairman, so I don't have anything at this point. Start, Rick, I'm starting my left. Do you have anything else you want to bring up?
Yes, I do have something that's just a matter of information, and, hey, Jackie, do you
Yes,
have
sir.
access to the internet?
Yes.
Could you pull up ABC Commission?
I can pull it up here if you want.
Okay, great.
It might be easier.
I just wanted everybody to be aware that they're going through some proposed rule changes. I read through them, and,
I'd never thought about it until I talked about that.
you can just type in NC
Yeah, and see
ABC.
G and C.
There we go. Just the main page.
Yeah, website.
All right, perfect.
It should pop right up first thing.
Okay.
Announcements. Yeah, you click over there, adopt permanent rules. There you go.
Yeah, and I can make it bigger too. Is that better? You want me to pull up this PDF right here?
But old guy down
I'm
here.
just-
This is good.
I was just pointing out to everyone that there's where it is, and there were a few things in there kind of sparked my interest. Scroll through it too quickly, but they're basically taking the current North Carolina General Statute and making amendments. Like that's something about how to calculate the working capital, the minimum and the maximum. They had one section down there, though, Phil, about
Yeah. See, that's probably not.
personnel, deposits to a checking account, or to a bank. Nothing new there, really. Daily deposits.
Financial audit,
Yeah, there you go.
personnel.
That kind of sparked my interest a little bit. That's, some of the things that we had been talking about in the personnel, developing a personnel committee. And it mentions in here that we can model our employee handbook or policies and procedures along the governmental agency that manages us. So that's pointed out in there. But if you guys have time, maybe go through and look at it. The other thing that I wanted to point out, and if you could go back to the main webpage.
Sure. Here, I'm going to copy this link real quick because we can send this to you guys.
Okay.
Back one more, right?
In that search, can you put in annual report? I really like going in here and looking at these annual reports because it will show how we compare to other ABC stores, not only in Franklin County.
Like
but
sales and revenue is
across
probably,
the state.
is that what?
Maybe that first one.
Just
up
the first
there.
one?
Yeah. And you can see that they've already published the 18 annual report. It talks about, as a state, how much tax dollars that the ABC system collects on behalf of the state, where that money goes. But on down through the body of the report, you can see that's the distribution of where all the tax dollars are. ABC stores contributed $80 million to their government agencies, $323 million to the North Carolina General Fund.
Mhm.
So we're a very important steward of money for the state. And you see the local ABC results, that's where you can go in there and
This
see.
link. I'll send this link as well. Just put these in the main notepad for you guys. Okay.
If you
Do
can
you want me to keep going, or?
Yeah, let's go down to Franklin County and compare us to the other
Okay,
stores.
let's see,
That's page 12.
page 12, okay. Page 12. Okay, Elmans, Brunswick.
Yeah, the only thing bad about that is it takes 2 pages like that to go all the way across and see what it all is.
Yeah, and I'll zoom back in after we get, that was, okay, so we're still in the C's.
Into the F's.
S, L, oops, too far. There it goes, okay.
All right, what's interesting to me when I looked at this particular report is if you look at,
So the first column is gross sales,
Yeah.
percent change and forecast for the next year.
look what Franklinton is projecting for their sales next year. That's almost $250,000 more. So with their expansion, they're forecasting that this year they're going to increase their revenue by 25%. That is interesting.
That's pretty good jump.
Yeah, but they doubled their stores.
It's funny that ours went down.
But not their inventory.
So this is
But
the
not the
actual
inventory?
cost? The original budgeted cost,
There's got
or
every-
budgeted revenue.
Revenue, right.
So this is for 19.
You got it, right.
So when we set the budget, I am conservative.
Conservative, no, I understand.
And that's where the difference
Yeah.
between aggressive and conservative is
Right.
showing you.
But this is a really good report, and I just want to make sure everybody kind of access it. But you can find out anything you need to know about your responsibility as a board member on that website for the ABC Commission.
I was just thinking, I mean, they ought to increase, and as traffic and things get worse for us,
I think
we're
Lake
gonna
Rio
continue
in
to
the
drop.
summertime is where Bun gets a lot of their revenue. Yeah, that little.
I don't know.
I told that manager, oh my God, she has to deal with a lot in that little store.
I would prefer
And
not
that's a
to
little
say where to
store.
go.
That will, I think ever.
On the map, that's the 170.
Yeah.
They got college.
Oh,
There's something that,
But this is,
here's something that jumps
this
out.
is
That
630-18.
Cramerton store there under Gaston,
Yeah.
that's my old ABC board. You see that 2 there? That means they've got 2 stores. And their town population is 4,500 people. But it's very close to other municipalities, like we get a lot of people from Belmont and Gastonia that come over there, and people from South Carolina. But you can see, even with 2 stores, they're doing $3 million in sales in a small town.
Well,
So
people
it-
come from South Carolina when their local prices
They
are
close
cheaper.
at 7 o'clock on Saturday
Oh,
night.
okay, because I'm saying their prices are cheaper than ours.
Why are they projecting less?
It's their budgeted.
It's their budget.
So-
The first column is actual, and the right column is it's
Oh,
budgeted
okay.
for the next year.
But see, that middle column, at 8.59%,
Yeah.
that $3 million for 2018 was almost 9% more than what they made in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah, about a 9% increase in sales over the prior year.
Wonder what's wrong?
We're
Mount
gonna
Hill?
let-
And that's 2018, ours was like 11.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
11.
I can't see it, it's a
11,
blur.
yeah, 11.3.
So yeah, definitely, that's what I was
I
saying.
can
Good
squint
job.
and I can make it out, but.
Really, that's the only important column, so we can zoom in for you a little bit.
Yeah, that's, the growth is important.
And if you can scroll over to the right a little bit and look
Sure.
at that cost of goods sales, you may have to go up to the top to find out which column that is.
Yes.
I think it's 65.
Yeah, cost of liquor sold.
It's the second column. And then total expenses is in the,
So on that total cost of liquor sold, that's how much liquor that Lori sold last year. So if you take what our average inventory is and divide it into that number, that's how many times she has to turn that inventory over. And I think the state average is somewhere around 3 or 4 times, but we're up there almost 6 times. So that's a lot of extra work. It runs the risk that if somebody comes in there, we might be out of what they're looking for. You see what I'm saying? So we need somehow to purposely build up our inventory some way or another because the sales justify it. And that's the quickest way to increase our net profit, get this debt paid off.
I may not be following you exactly here. Used to, I think they stopped it 3 years ago. I meant to get that information from Lori Lee and can't find the email. But they used to, if the inventory wasn't a certain percentage, they would basically ding the managers or whatever else. The ABC Commission found that when they judged it based on inventory turnover, that like at the end of the month, like at our audit time, the auditors come in and we had a warehouse packed because it's right before the 4th of July. We have a lot of inventory sitting. They were justified. They found that if they just viewed us on our inventory turnover rate, it was actually hurting the store because we would try to cut back on the inventory when it became audit time. It's stuff that doesn't sell and everything else hurts you. That's what I'm saying. So they quit having that in the audit, or it was some kind of thing they were judging us. They stopped doing it because they found it negative. It was a negative impact, and going more on based on sales.
I think part of the problem is
If I'm making sense, I just
you don't get what you request from the warehouse in Raleigh, right? Like you request certain.
right,
amount
and
of
that's
stuff
we're
that
having a
may-
bad issue with that again. It's not just our store. It's happening again where we're not getting what we're supposed to. And
So you order certain things and then not all that shows up.
right, and they did just change something, which I was going to tell you later, that your employee wanted some plates, something or another. They changed the special item order where before a customer would have to pay for a whole case. They changed that where all the customer has to do is buy one. So, but I had ordered, I could get stuff now easier, but it still can take a long time. Like I ordered something for one of Rick's employees. This took effect September 1st. I ordered it September 2nd, and it's still not here.
So I think that's part of our issue.
Perfect sense. And
I'm not good at this.
What I'm
You know,
trying to interpret it in perhaps a different way is every time you go to these manager conferences in Greensboro, they're talking about ways that our control state can stay relative to where we're not turned over to private enterprise. And one way is to have good customer service in the store, clean stores, available hours, and inventory. They want to have a full selection where when somebody comes in that store, they know that they're going to come in there and they're going to get what they want. So that's what the ABC Commission is preaching to these store managers.
But it doesn't sound like they can follow through with what they're preaching.
Exactly.
Well, I don't know if it would be a bad idea one day. Let's just get in the car, go down there to the warehouse and find out why you can't get what you want. Now, there's nothing
well,
wrong with
that's something that's being brought up, and another thing, they have stopped a lot of the stores from being able to come down and pick up their own inventory
Yeah.
too. Which, personally, unless somebody's going to pay for my truck maintenance and everything else, I'm not doing. I mean, but because I think that is their job to get us what we need. That the state, the ABC commissioners want to keep renewing the contract with the same LB&B, and they have ongoing issues with them. That is LB&B's job to get us what we order. Where they have to get on to the distilleries to get it there quicker, or what, or bring it. If we're short 10 cases we were supposed to get, and it comes in the warehouse the next day, I think they should bring it to us. I mean, I think they should pay for their own helper. They should have their own helper on the truck instead of the store paying for the helper. I
I mean, there's a lot of stuff with that, you know, we can't do anything about, but no, as far as our store, and that's all I'm gonna worry about is, you know, our inventory has grown and is still growing and is gonna keep growing, and, I get, if they come out with some more better new products, it'll help a lot too. But,
In a newer location, bigger storage area is gonna help that too, I think.
But we're still, anything anybody comes in and asks, if we don't have it or have it in a certain size and they're new to the area, or we know they're probably gonna come get it, because it hurts us when it sits on the shelf. It's just not. But we get it. I mean, I got a list of 3 items now I'm gonna be putting on next order. We don't get another order again until the 12th. in November.
So do you often run out of things in between your shipments that customers want?
We can, it depends on what, if they cut, like,
I went in for Crown Apple and it was out.
yeah, like
Is
Crown
that
Apple,
one of
that's,
the things
that's another
that-
that keeps being a shortage going on with that. And also, like, right now, it's Irish cream time. Everybody's wanting the Irish cream. Well, the main seller is Bailey's. Guess who didn't get any?
So that's not you, it's not that you didn't order it, it's that they're
Right,
not sending it to
Right,
you.
right, and it's like
Which that's a
Tito's.
completely
Tito's is the #1 selling vodka we have right now.
Different issue.
I got cut, I ordered 10 cases, got cut. Bun got cut. Franklin got cut.
Like, we've just cut, you got 0?
We got none.
Okay.
I might have got fifths of it or whatever. We sell more half gallons of Tito's than any other vodka.
So basically,
it hurts. And
The
then we got.
commission is hurting our sales.
Right.
We'll
Send that
come
new big
down there and check them
YouTube.
out. Say, hey, look, man, you shorting us on our liquor.
I mean, if they
I'll put that in
are,
a minute, Tim.
Yeah,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
please.
But it's on that camera right there. The
I know.
ABC
I'm
Commission is hurting our sales, and I'll say it loudly right now.
But it's
Run me out of town. You are hurting us.
Are you able to do a special order to go pick it up?
what do you mean?
Like,
special
say,
order?
hey, I didn't get this, and you call and you arrange between
I call
now
it
and the
like
12th?
it depends. If I'm short 32 cases and it was say I was getting 100 cases. That's just a very small example. And it says I'm getting these 100 cases. Like I had this happened more than once. I would get I got cut 32 cases that were supposed to be on the truck.
Mhm.
And I called the warehouse, and there was a main guy down there brought them in a pickup truck to
Okay.
me, so stuff like that. But as far as going down there, that's
so if
not-
they cut your
like,
Tito's, they
go
cut your
inside.
Tito's from your delivery.
Right, so I won't get any again until my next.
So can you, if they cut it and it ends up coming into the warehouse, can you drive down there, not you, but can somebody drive down there and pick up what you ordered before the next delivery, or are you just out?
I'm not really sure how that works, because like I said, they just sent out another thing about people picking stuff up, that there's liability issues in that too, and I'll be straight up, I don't want to get involved with that. If
No,
somebody
I'm
else
just
wants to do it.
curious, like,
I mean, that's what we're talking about, somebody
Yeah.
else.
what your options are, like, if they don't bring it because it's not in the warehouse at that point, do you have the option to go pick it up so that you are not short those products?
I believe you do.
Okay.
But I'll have to reread that email they just sent out, because I think the warehouse is getting frustrated, especially with this bourbon craze that's going on right now. I mean, like, it's getting crazy. They're having people actually coming down to the warehouse and stuff like that. It's hard to get bourbons. I don't know if you know about this that's going on. I mean, I had people, what was it, last week? Camping out of the store. I was at work at 6:15 and there was people camping out in front of the store. Thought that they would be able to get bourbon and come up the truck. It's hard to get bourbon.
Wow.
So I don't know, I guess I understand the inventory turnover, but I think that it may be other issues that are leading to some of those problems.
Well, certainly there is.
But I mean, I'm just saying that we are still
But we
growing
can-
our
We
inventory.
can order more.
Yeah, we are still growing our inventory, especially right now, Christmas and all that, it's when we have more than we really need, but,
Inflate what you need in hopes of getting something.
no, I have done that. But then you end up over ordering, that hurts your inventory turnover too, so that's the whole thing, I'm just, but, and the mixed beverage, the Fiesta restaurant, we've got stuff that they wanted and they're not getting it, and it's not selling. That doesn't help either.
Well, one of the things that the Crampton store did, they had a lot of mixed beverage.
Yeah.
And the Jonas Brothers, you know who they are? Their dad had a restaurant there in Belmont,
Mm-hmm.
and he ordered a $1,300 bottle of scotch. And then when we got it in, they called him, he said, well, I don't know what's going on. So the board implemented a policy that, you know, special order stuff, like what they're doing, you get them pay for it up front.
Yeah, we can do that.
Can we do that? That's the question I want to know. If we can do that, that's what I would do in
Yeah, I
situations
mean, the
like that.
ABC commission would say it's not good customer service with a mixed beverage account, but if something like that, I'd be like.
But they gotta buy it from us, right?
But
Yeah.
if it's truly a special order.
Yeah.
Now, if it's just regular, I wouldn't ask them to do that, but.
No, but then that was one thing, one time they got, no, everybody probably eats there, but they use a very, very cheap tequila. There was a shortage going on with that, and they had to move to another tequila. And that's one of the reasons why we have some extra cases of some more cheap tequila. Anyway, I'm just saying, this basically is, we are still growing our inventory, and, well, that will continue to grow.
And I think once we get into a place that has bigger shelves, more footage, we'll be able to put more out. And we'll be able to use what we got, and then you can kind of plan ahead and buy more.
Yeah, we're putting up our other shelves next week, and I just ordered a bunch of new tags and stuff for that to go. And the new system also prints out some very lovely
It's on their
tags.
website.
Be sure to have.
They've got, I just did do a Google search on their website for warehouse and special orders, and it says that liquor products that are not included on the approved state pricing list may be special orders. That a liquor special order is made within a customer's contacts through the local and requests to
That's what I'm
purchase
talking about.
one or more cases of the liquor. And then the local ABC board then makes a request to the commission contacts the vendor, and then it says in the second paragraph that it has to be paid for in advance.
Yeah, that's the old rule. I don't know why they haven't updated yet, but it literally just changed September 1st that all the customer has to do is buy one bottle. So that's why I've been ordering some stuff that I know people have requested that they didn't want to buy a case of, and one of them is, like I said, somebody that works at Benchmark, and I ordered for myself something I've been trying to get that I was going to South Carolina to get, so I purchased my one bottle. But that arrived
How
quick.
many things are not, and how many things that people ask for are not on the state approved list?
Not that many. But every now and like there's a somebody that moved from Colorado was requesting a certain thing, and it was only on the special item list. And I said I can. That was before they changed the rule. I said you have to prepay for the case. We can order it. It could take a week or it could take months. And she didn't want it, but then I saw where they took it off the special item list and put it on the regular list. Because I go down the whole warehouse list every time I do my order in case they snuck in something new. Because they do that. And I saw it on her and I ordered it for her and called her and let her know it was there. And she's been buying it regularly. And it was something that's really popular in Colorado, but not necessarily here.
That's the customer service we want.
I think people would prepay if they knew it was going to take like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's no way to predict it. That
Throw a
part.
month or two in there, people like, yeah.
That part
I got something else to do.
that does fall on the distillery itself.
No.
They don't like to, if they don't normally ship to North Carolina or anything like that, I guess it costs them more to just send one case for a particular store. They like to do it when there's like a bulk from different stores in North Carolina,
So
they can ship to
so if it's
warehouse.
on the special list, the ABC commission has to go direct to the distiller and order it. It's not like they order that product
Right.
on a regular basis.
Right, yeah, so that's not.
No, yeah, this is good, that's what.
I'm sorry, yeah, I guess the only thing that, if the commission would allow, which I guess they can't do it because of space, but if the commission would allow anything that is available liquor-wise to be bought and sold in North Carolina, that would be fantastic. But, you know what I mean, but them changing the special item list, even though it still does not have all the items that you could possibly purchase, on it, it is an improvement though, because there's stuff, just silly stuff, like, I mean, grape pucker and stuff like that people been wanting that they got rid of, but now I can get. There's only one bottle sold. Technically, don't want to say all that part, but wait around, so.
Good. Do you have anything else?
No, sorry.
I'm
No,
sorry.
that's all right. No, this is the time to talk about it. Todd, you got anything for us?
I think, looking at, do we do holiday hours or change anything for the holidays?
Holidays, it's holiday hours, the only holiday hours that are changed is Christmas Eve.
Okay.
All the stores close at 6 o'clock. Wake County, all of them, we used to close at 5:30, now it's 6 o'clock. And depending on what day it falls, we would close the following day, which is,
I think he was also wondering about extending it.
Like, later on, at our peak season, just staying open later.
not currently,
Okay.
not currently, like,
Is that something you think you could staff if we just wanted to?
maybe next year.
Okay.
This year, now I'm already gonna have a lot of changes when we have the new store and the hours go to 9 o'clock. So that's what they said anyway. I thought y'all said if we got a new store, y'all were
We haven't said it yet.
Oh, okay.
It's
Okay,
just-
so this
it's
holiday
arranged.
season, you don't think you
You don't have staff to do it this year?
No. No. I mean, I have the staff, but everybody I have pretty much is working 2 jobs. And I can't say, hey, look, I need y'all to do 9 o'clock. I mean, now, they are to keep the store open if somebody's coming up at the last minute, but
So right now it is 7 o'clock.
it's 8 o'clock on Fridays and Saturdays,
Okay.
7 o'clock during the week. But we open early, which we get a lot of sales just being open earlier than any other ABC store.
I've been in there and people waiting to go in when I come down to meet them.
What time do you normally open?
10.
And that's earlier than other stores?
Yeah, all the stores used to do 9 to 9, and then they all changed. Like, I could be wrong. I think Franklinton went back to 11. I know Wake County went back to 11. We stayed at 10 because we had more people. We have more people coming in the mornings than we would when we stayed open until 8:30 every night. So, if that makes
No.
sense. Like, they go on and grab it.
What are the hours and the closing hours for like Franklinton and Wake? I mean, instead of the closest between, we're in between those two stores.
I think Wake County is 9 o'clock. Lewisburg, that's fine. They're closed at 7 no matter all through the week. Bun is 9 to 9, which that manager said it cost her more to pay somebody to be there than to do that. But anyway, and Franklinton is 11 to 8:30.
Can we get hourly sales reporting with this new system?
You read my mind.
I can look in. I have to figure
It
that
should
part
be
I
able to
would
do
say
it.
that the backside, like reporting that you can get online, is
Horrible with the new system?
They are working on that. It's
Wake County's 10 to 9, Danny, to answer your question.
10 to 9?
to get the sales reports that come out of the.
I thought it was 11, we have customers coming in. Wait till you look at 11.
Well, don't tell them that it's
I didn't
Yeah,
do
tell
that.
them we're open.
I mean, they had been there, so I don't know.
I mean, I've seen like POS, I've seen several different POS systems on the backside. I'm sure you.
If they're willing to work with us and come up with that information.
And I did actually just saw it before we came in here, that she said they were working on it, and I was like, well, I got some ideas for them.
I figured you would. Yeah, I'd ask while it's brand new,
Yeah.
ask everything you can and get what you can out of it, and then we can work from there. So, all right. Danny, you have anything for us? Yeah.
You stole your thunder.
He did. That was mine, so.
They open 9 to 9 today,
Who is
Franklin.
9 to 9?
No, this is Franklin ABC store, not Franklin.
Oh, Franklin's in the mountains. I mean, I won't, I confused it when I look on there sometimes.
Yeah, most stores I know is 9 to 9.
Marty, you got anything for us? All right, move on to finance officer. You got anything else? Okay. Or you got anything else for us? You said what you wanted to say at this point.
At this point, yeah.
Okay. Emily?
No, I'm good, thank
All
you.
right. Bill?
The branding consultant is going to get us something no later than the end of next week. So at your next meeting, I should have a draft logo. Remember, we discussed that a little bit last time. So look forward to that. But other than that, nothing else. And I'll make sure to follow up with our developers on what we discussed earlier.
Great. Perfect. That'd be perfect.
If they get something next week, is there possibility, is it gonna be like 2 or 3 different varieties for
I
us
can
to
email it
choose
out
from?
and solicit feedback electronically. That'd be, yeah,
And then
absolutely.
maybe we can have, you know, a report back, but if we've not had an opportunity to look at it, then
That'd be good.
There's a logo on the pin pad now, right?
Oh, what
We
now?
have a logo already on the pin pad, right? Your new.
Yeah, that's what I want to show everybody, because I like it a lot.
Okay.
I don't,
Yeah, I just noticed it because we talked about it last time, but that's on there when you buy a bottle of liquor, that's on the,
the
Pin pad before
customers
you
see
sign.
it and
Oh, okay.
I don't know where that came from, but.
Cool.
Galcom did it.
Yeah, where did it come from?
Galcom did it.
Well, that's one option.
That's it. That's it.
I didn't know, I remember we talked about it
Yeah.
last time, I was like, oh, we got a logo, okay.
Oh, that is nice.
All right. Well, if there's no further business, I want to go ahead and request a motion for a closed session regarding personnel. Do I have a motion? Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, so we'll go into closed session. I appreciate everybody coming today. Thanks.